Okay. I know, it's just, ain't that how it happens?
Yeah, it's true that you just roll with it.
Yep, you just plan B. Plan B. This will be the start of our Lola podcast. So, I'm here with Carol Amour, and we're going to talk a little bit about some exciting projects coming up here. And Carol has been doing social justice and equity and education work for over 65 years, has written multiple books. How many books?
4 books.
4 books.
4 books.
Thousands of articles on these topics. And she came to the area first through being a script writer for the Tribute to Survival exhibit for the Milwaukee Public Museum. How long ago was that?
That was back in the 80s.
Okay.
We received a very large grant from the National Humanities Commission to develop the exhibit. And it was very unique because it was a museum doing it with the tribes, not just about the tribes. And so it was a very different kind of process, lots of communication, lots of input, and it meant visiting all the tribes and spending a lot of time with people in all the tribes. So it was a wonderful opportunity to learn.
And so you were the script writer for the exhibit?
Yes.
So what was that research process like? Were you just in Wisconsin, or?
Well, yes, and actually that's a good question because it ended up being a pretty unique process. There was the anthropologist from the museum, of course, was involved in the project, and that's where it got started. The head of the exhibits department and the anthropologist did the initial grant application, and part of the premise was that they were going to have several general council meetings in Milwaukee where they would be listening to tribal people from all over the state about what they had intended to do. And the whole idea was to show that the tribes are here today and making a huge contribution to what's going on in this country, and that it's not just something of the past. So that was one of the premises right there. And again, that whole concept that it wasn't going to be telling about the tribes, but with the tribes, telling that story. So what was very interesting, and this really is real pertinent to, certainly to my professional growth, but very much to the how the exhibit was done, was at the first General Council, the anthropologist and the head of the exhibits department kind of gave a presentation about what they had in mind to do. And there was like a very detailed outline of what each exhibit would be about. And so it was about from the tribes going way back and then up to present day was kind of the idea. It was a huge exhibit, very large exhibit. But the centerpiece was going to be a contemporary powwow, was based on the Indian Summer Powwow in Milwaukee. And the figures in that powwow exhibit were going to be cast from life. And so the faces were actually the faces of tribal members throughout the state. And we worked real closely with the American Indian Advisory Council down in Milwaukee, and that's where a lot of the good ideas came from. So anyway, this first meeting, and I'll go real quickly here.
Yeah.
The first,
I just want to jump in and say
Okay.
that I got the chance at Dibajimo, which was a event that we had here, and it was, Dibajimo means we tell stories, and
Correct.
so there were various groups and individuals and artists telling stories, and we got a preview of the documentary
Yes.
that's being made about this exhibit in Milwaukee, and it was really cool to see visually the casting process. I don't know what it was. They were using silicone or wax or something.
it was like plaster.
Plaster.
The bandage strips were dipped in that plaster and then applied to the head, to the face and the head. And so, but once the head was all covered, The only thing was just the two little straws going into the nose. Your ears were covered, your head, everything was covered.
It looked a bit uncomfortable.
Yeah, it was amazing.
And using contemporary models for these figures that they were displaying. So, okay.
And the advisory council decided, who the figures were going to be. And the idea was to have a variety of ages and, all the tribes, in the state. That was the idea. So we had this first general council, and I love this story because it informed everything that happened afterwards. And the head exhibit designer, described how the exhibit was going to look and, what the plans were and so forth. And at that point in time, and I look back now and I can't imagine that that's what they were going to do, but what they were going to do was use Plains outfits from the collection for the powwow. Well, this is a woodland area. Number one, it's not the Plains. And number two, the whole idea was to show contemporary, so why would you want to go back and take older outfits from the collection? But anyway, that's where it kind of started. So that presentation was made, and then it was opened up for anyone to make a comment, to say whatever they'd like. Well, the first person who stood up from one of the tribes and make a comment was, you said you wanted to show us as contemporary. And here you're going to put us behind glass because you're using artifacts from the collection. And if you put us behind glass, right away you're saying we're from the past, that we're not here today. So then another person got up, and the consensus was clear. It was, don't use glass, don't put it behind glass. Well, the conservator jumped up and said, it has to be behind glass because we're using artifacts, we're using something from the collection. If it gets dust on it, it could get damaged. It has to be behind glass. Well, it was just amazing what was going on. And then the exhibit designer stood up again and he said, I have an idea. He said, we won't use the outfits from the collection, and we won't use glass. We'll hire tribal members throughout the state to make every outfit piece, and then it will be items made for the exhibit. It won't be from the collection, and it doesn't have to be behind glass. And then he said, and Carol Ann will coordinate that and go around the state and get all the outfit pieces. And that was, he didn't ask me to say, he just said that was going to be, but what a gift.
You're like, alrighty then, here we go.
I know. So then I had the opportunity to travel all around the state and meet so many people and get all those outfit pieces. And there were, almost 400 different outfit pieces that were made. Every single thing was made for that exhibit, moccasins and headbands and every single thing. So it was really remarkable. And that's kind of how it got started. So then we ended up doing the script the same way. So the anthropologist had kind of like the story of what needed to be in each exhibit, but it was pages long, and you can't do that with an exhibit. Labels have to be relatively short or nobody's going to read them. So I would do the first draft of what the label would say. And then we'd meet with a number of different tribal people from around the state who were the kind of advisors on the script, and the anthropologist. And it's not surprising, no matter what, the first attempt wasn't right. Things were missed, or they were misinterpreted, or they, because however much I tried, I sure didn't know everything, and I was learning. So then what happened, at a certain point in time, the anthropologist felt she just couldn't keep on doing those meetings, because I was committed to doing it as long as it took to have everybody satisfied and feel like we were saying things in a good way. So she stepped out of being in the meetings, and then what happened is I would meet with the tribal committee. They'd tell me what I had wrong, because of course I had many things wrong, and they would teach me. And so then I would rewrite the labels, then I would take them to the anthropologist, and she would say, yes, we can say that, but no, we can't say that, and yes, we can. So then I'd rewrite them again, and I'd go back to the committee. Some of the labels went through 17 rewrites. before we got to the final. But every time I was learning. And then also, we were building relationship, working so closely together. And I think, that advisory committee knew I was really listening. And so we would get to the point, where we could all agree on what the labels were saying. So it was quite a process. But it was just an honor to be part of that process.
Yeah. Being an intermediary between a scientific perspective and then the tribal perspective involving their historians and their lived experience as well. And you were able to come up with labels that everyone was happy with?
For the most part. For the most part. And actually, that's part of the story that's going to be in the book that I'm doing about the exhibit, is that maybe about 6 months before we were going to open, someone from one of the representatives from the committee, the advisory committee, called and said, we're done. We're going to step out of the project. We're going to pick it because there's still things that need changing, and we're done. And so I said, wait, please. We've put in all these years of work. Maybe there's something we can do. Could you just give me the afternoon? I'll call the director. They called the director, and amazingly, I got him, and he said, give me an hour. I'll see what I can do. I'll get back to you. So he did. He called me back, and I called the person from the advisory committee and said what I had learned. So the director called me back, and he said, I've talked to the board, we've made a decision, we'll do one more rewrite. And some of the labels were fine, but some we still hadn't come to an agreement on. So he said, here's what we're going to do, or here's what we're offering. And he said, we'll have it be rewritten one more time, and there'll be one person from the museum and one person from the advisory council, and those two people will go through the whole thing and come to an agreement on how it should be said. And he said, and the person from the museum is you. So I called the representative from the advisory committee back, and told him that. And he said, well, I got to talk to the advisory committee. I'll get back to you. So then he called back later in the day, and he said, we've talked about it. And he said that we'll agree to that as long as you're the person that's from the museum, and then we'll have George Amour be the person from the advisory committee. And then, of course, as you know, I ended up marrying George Amour.
So you two were working on, that's the project where you met?
Yes.
Was working on that?
Yes. Well, no, we had
final draft.
We had worked before together. I mean, from the very beginning, but that was just intense working together.
Right.
And so after the exhibit opened, we got married.
Oh my gosh.
So it changed my life in a lot of ways.
Yes. And so where was he from?
He's from here, from Lac de Flambeau, right?
Okay.
Yeah, he's a tribal member here, but had lived in Milwaukee for quite some time, and was real active in native things down there. So
amazing. And so now you are in the process of doing a documentary and a book to discuss that whole process.
Right.
And are you fundraising for the documentary?
Yes, definitely. And we raised enough funds to do the first episode,
right.
Which is very exciting.
Awesome, yeah.
Because there's really no huge grants. We had a small grant from UWM to do a curriculum to go with the episode, which is great, or to go with the documentary. But the idea is, because the museum is moving, the Milwaukee Public Museum is moving, and they're moving to a much smaller space. So they're not taking Tribute to Survival with them.
Oh.
That's what prompted this whole documentary.
Okay.
Because those figures, those figures that you saw in that documentary, they all would have gone into storage And what we've done is we've found new homes for at least 24 of them by now, so that they can be parts of exhibits in places all around the state and continue to tell that story. But then also we're doing that documentary to tell the story, because we feel that it still has many stories to tell, many lessons to teach. So that's what prompted the Beyond Tribute project, which is the documentary and then rehousing or rehoming.
Okay. And if anyone listening wanted to make a contribution to the documentary, how would they go about that?
What they can do is actually just contact me.
Okay.
And you have my contact information.
Yeah.
And there are a number of different ways that they could make contributions.
Awesome.
And we've done this, from contributions of $5, up to $1,000. And so, it's made it possible, which is really exciting. Mm-hmm. The other thing is, of course, that we have table sales. We go out and get around and we share artwork by local people here, tribal people here. We share resale things. We share, cookies sometimes, whatever, so that it's been, so many people have helped to do this.
That's amazing. So the other project that you have been focusing some of your effort on is Jiimaan,
Yes.
the canoe journey.
Yes.
So do you want to talk a little bit about what's going on with that?
That is so exciting.
It looks really cool.
It is so exciting. The Anishinaabe, hundreds of years ago, came from the East Coast to Madeline Island, in Lake Superior. And they came along the St. Lawrence Seaway, what we now call that. And there were other tribes along the way that joined in and helped out. And it was all based on a prophecy, again, that this happened long time ago, that said the people were to move or to travel to the place where the food grows on the water. And so that of course, we know now, was Monoman or wild rice. And so, along the way, some groups, stayed in a certain place or, stopped at another place. But a large part of that, that group that traveled from the East Coast came to Madeline Island. And think of the three fires. So it's Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi. Those would be the three fires, and those all those tribes are in this area, and that's how the people came here, and the journey was made in very large canoes.
What river was it? Sorry.
The St. Lawrence Seaway.
St. Lawrence
Yeah.
Seaway?
Mm-hmm,
Okay.
mm-hmm. And so what's going to happen? Let me back up just a little bit. So there were 7 fires over many years, the prophecies of 7 fires. So it's always often talked about as the seven fire prophecies, 7 fire prophecies. But then in that prophecy, they talk about an 8th fire would be at the time when there's a big decision to make, where either we can go in the direction of materialism and fighting each other and, destroying the environment, and which a lot of us think we're kind of at that point right now, or we can come together and work together and protect the environment and protect the waters and protect the air and protect the earth for generations to come. And so, a lot of people think that this is that time.
So it's just drawing a connection with the Beyond Tribute.
In a sense, yes.
It's pulling on historical threads that have happened,
Exactly.
but there is a very contemporary importance for why this matters today, right now.
Exactly. And it does matter. It matters to all of us. So this is being organized by tribal members from Waswaganing, Lac Flambeau, So an Ojibwe group is kind of, at the center right now getting it started, but it's for all people. It's for all of us. The environment is for everybody. The air is for everybody. The earth and the water is for everybody. So this is to help people learn about that, but then also to be a part of it. They can come and they can paddle. They're building canoes.
Right. So they're retracing this path
right.
in canoes that they're building
exactly.
for the event.
Right.
And they're doing it in segments, right?
Yes.
Not the entire journey.
Right, exactly.
In 7 segments?
So, no, they're doing, it'll be, this summer that we're kind of training people, how to, because it's a different thing, those big canoes, paddling them, and also it's paddling upriver, which is a different kind of thing for most people. So this summer it'll be more the training and the awareness and then building the canoes. And then next summer, 2027, will be the first segment of the journey, and they'll get as far as they get. I'd like to say we'll get as far as we can get, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to actually be in a canoe, but I can help.
Well, and that's what I noticed from looking into it, is that for those who want to be involved,
right.
but, you can paddle a canoe, but there's also a lot of other ways to help, right? Because there's ground crews, right, that are going to kind of ensure the safety.
Exactly. And cooks, and supplies, carrying supplies. And there's lots of other ways to help. Lots of other ways. And fundraising, of course. So then next summer, the journey will start, and then get as far as it can get, and then the next summer it'll continue, and then ending up at Madeline Island.
Wow.
So, it's pretty exciting.
So for those who might want to contribute financially or time or be involved, how can they go about doing that? Okay,
there is a website, and there also is a Facebook page.
Okay.
So Seventh Fire Jiimaan Journey is the Facebook page.
And that's Jiimaan,
Jiimaan.
Right.
So that would be one, and then the website is.
I don't know off the top of my head. Do you have the flyer there?
Let me get the flyer.
Okay. Yeah, let's shout out the website.
Yeah, that's good. That's real good. It is exciting, isn't it?
Yes.
And it seems to me that, and this is for you, it seems to me that this is a time, when there is so much dissension, that we really need bringing people together. Okay, here we go. All right, the website is seventhfire.org.
Seventhfire.org with the number 7?
Yes, the number 7.
The number
That's good.
7.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 7th, seventhfire.org.
Awesome.
It's all one word.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the Facebook page, Seventh Fire Jiimaan Journey. Again, the number 7.
Okay.
Okay?
Now, was there any other initiatives, events coming up that you want to mention?
Okay, did we say that this was, we didn't say about the event yet, did we? That there's been, yes, let's.
Okay.
Yes, and this is very exciting, very exciting.
So
on the 20th, yes.
This event, right?
That
so
event,
the first, the first paddle?
Yeah, it's like launching the project.
Yeah, the project launch.
It's the project launch. And there's, there will be a big Voyager canoe there. And participants on the 28th, and this is going to happen the 28th of June, will have a chance to paddle, be in that canoe, and go out around Strawberry Island on Flambeau Lake. And other people might want to accompany in a kayak or a canoe, and that'll be fine. But it's a chance to see what a big Voyager canoe looks like and to actually be in one. And this will be at the tribal campgrounds. And it's from 1 to 3 of the 28th. And there'll be food, and there'll be fundraisers too, of course. There'll be a silent auction and some raffles and that kind of thing. And lots of information. Should be great. And
Awesome.
everyone is invited to come.
Great. Yeah, we'll put up a flyer of the first
Great.
launch day
Great.
and also the Beyond tribute.
Yeah, great.
So,
Terrific.
yay!
Super.
Thank you so much.
And now when I
Carol.
see this, I'm going to ask Jake if he can, because the website isn't on there, is it?
Nope.
It should be, huh? for more information.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really should be.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
thanks.
we can reference it in the.
All right, great.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you so much for talking with me,
Yeah.
Carol. I'm really excited about all this that's going on.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I actually get goosebumps sometimes.
I was getting chills.
It is. It's so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so cool. Yeah, and I've thought a lot about sharing that story about the script writing, about that it almost didn't happen, the whole exhibit. But I think it's an important part of the story.
Yeah.
And what are they going to do to me now? The museum, I mean.
Yeah. Especially for people who have their own art projects or initiatives they're working on. Because
Yeah.
I've noticed that sometimes that's how it goes. Kind of, it's always darkest before the dawn situation.
Yeah, isn't that? Oh,
Yeah.
I'll let